Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next question is from John Nolan for Mayor McLin.
This is about the LCHIP program, which, if I remember correctly, stands for Land and Community Heritage Investment Program, or approximately to that. Anyway, Rochester's had two big chunks of this money. I mean, it got, I think, 400,000 to put the HVAC in the Opera House, and it got 300,000 to help buy hayfields up on Rochester Hill Road. And there's many other applications for this program, but its funding was slashed this last year, I think down to about $1 million. First of all, do you agree with the program? What do you think are the correct applications for this money, and what would be an adequate level of funding?
I believe in this program 100%. I believe we've got to preserve land, especially private land or even public land. I happen to take a stand in Somersworth, New Hampshire, when I served as mayor, about Hilltop School, the old Somersworth High School, if you're familiar with it. It's on the hill up by the Noble Pines. And school board and the mayor of Somersworth recently voted to close that school. Well, made me happy this week is that the state put it on the historical list to save as one of the 7 in the state of New Hampshire. So I am very proud of that, and I want that school saved. As for your question, John, yes, I believe in putting money towards that. I believe in preserving land, and the Hilltop School is a good example. After so many years, the school was supposed to be the first high school in the state in 1850, but there's an argument that Portsmouth was first. But anyways, we get that landmark there, and I'd be put all kinds of money, time at a time, you know, to budget. But I believe in this LCHIP. Thank you.
Representative Cilley.
I was a strong supporter of LCHIP in the House and would continue to be. Just to give you a little bit of the historical perspective, the commission that recommended LCHIP also recommended $24 million worth of funding for it. Almost immediately after that, under the previous administration, that program was gutted. We fought hard in the House to reinstitute the money that it should have. It should have $12 million a year, $24 million over the biennium. We were lucky to get about $1.5 million this past year, and they would have, I think there were factions that would have liked to have gutted that as well. LCHIP is more than simply about preserving what constitutes our heritage, and definitely I defend that and would fight, vigorously for it. Many of our historic properties, Robert Frost's house, which I'm sure you're all familiar with if you haven't had an opportunity to visit, is crumbling from beneath. The Boston Globe probably 2 months ago now, wrote an article about the fact that many of our historic sites are in disrepair and we face losing them. So LCHIP is a critically important program for this state. However, LCHIP does something else that is a little less obvious. In preserving the open spaces, it also preserves our critical natural resources. For example, 89% of the critical lands over our public wellheads and aquifers, upon which 800,000 of our citizens depend, is unprotected. Many of you who live in Rochester, the land that covers the water that you're drinking is unprotected. This is a serious, serious problem facing the state of New Hampshire. LCHIP cannot function on $750,000 a year. We can't get the job done. And so when I go back as your senator, I will be fighting vigorously for this.
Thank you. Our next question is from John Rodenhouse for Representative Cilley.
Changes to the New Hampshire Constitution are exceptionally hard to pass. The ballot this year, voters will decide whether to change the state constitution to protect private land. Do you favor or oppose an amendment for the New Hampshire Constitution that would prohibit local governments from taking private property for economic development.
Thank you for that question, and it is a complicated one, but I'm going to try to take no more than 2 minutes to explain it. First and foremost, I absolutely defend the rights of property owners to keep that property and to not see it taken egregiously by any level of government, and we saw that in the Kelo decision. What's ironic about this is well before the Kelo decision ever came down, I approached the Speaker of the House and Representative Stella Scammon because they live on historic property. And I talked about the issue of eminent domain. And did we have safeguards? Because there was another situation that had come up on my committee that made me concerned. And they assured me that we had very good laws in the state of New Hampshire that would not allow the Kelo type of situation that arose in Connecticut. Kelo happened over the summer. There was a knee-jerk reaction in the Senate and in the House, and many people came to the table with new legislation. I thought it was going to be easy for me to sign on. Unfortunately, what you see in front of you, or what you will see in front of you on the ballot, lacks a critical piece. It does not allow a provision for when a community has negligent landowners to use that property in any economic benefit. And let me give you one quick example because I have a short amount of time. Berlin, New Hampshire. Anybody been up there? You got to visit it. Half of the town is burnt out. And the fellow that, who owned that property 4 years ago got his money, he left, and the town is dying. And under this amendment, if you all vote for this amendment, there will be towns that will die because of it. I think we need every single protection we can muster with, to protect private property rights. But I think when somebody is so negligent as to walk away from their property and devalue all of those around them, many of you are in businesses, you've worked hard for those businesses, you want to retain the value, and I don't think that this amendment's going to do it for you.
Thank you. Mayor Macklin?
I believe in this amendment, and we must protect the private citizen. It's their house, land, whatever. A business is included too, is different, but the private citizen, I don't believe we should go in and take their house. I mean, like somebody comes in here and says, well, governor's in, we're gonna put a mall in here. I don't believe that's right. I believe we should protect the private citizen and the public. When it comes to businesses, that's a different story, and I'd vote for this constitutional amendment.